I don't like cardio and I never have. I can still remember being 10 years old, slightly overweight, and struggling to keep up with everyone else while running. Exhibit A. Maybe I've got some sort of small PTSD from not being able to keep up with everyone else. I've never been one to use my spare time to go for a jog or run or sprint. As an overarching theme since my teen years, I've preferred resistance training to cardio at every turn. As healthy as I try to be and fitness focused as I present myself, I would never really challenge myself physically when it came to cardio. I always threw out various excuses from I have asthma, to I have bad knees, to I trained legs yesterday, anything just so I didn't have to go for a run. I tend to let my expenditure just run every day consistently, ensuring that I get the bare minimum of 10,000 steps each day. While this has worked up to now, I think that it's time to change that. And what better opportunity than a worldwide lockdown where all gyms are closed to stop making excuses and actually test myself. For me, this challenge was more than just an avenue for improving my fitness. I was hoping it would be a time of escaping the monotony, keeping me focused on a goal and providing me a door away from work and life while quarantining. I was hoping it could fill the void currently left by the inaccessibility of gyms. And above all else, I was hoping it could be a task that pushed me to my limits. Also, being able to run 10 kilometers would be pretty sound. Researching running returns an incredible amount of benefits for your body. Numerous studies have shown that running increases your lifespan. This has led to the often repeated observation that if exercise was a pill, it would be the most popular pill in the world. It would also be the cheapest, with little to no cost. A 2018 meta-analysis of research on running and longevity found that runners have a 25 to 30% lower rate of all-cause mortality on follow-up than non-runners. It concluded that any amount of running at all, even once a week, is better than no running. It would seem that running is something we should all be doing, and that it can have a positive lasting impact on our lives. Going into this challenge, I knew I would need a plan, given my relative inexperience in this area. To give some context, I did the Run 5, Donate 5, Nominate 5 that was going around Instagram a few weeks ago. It was this that emphasized to me my inability to run. Just to highlight that this was the first time in my whole entire life outside of sports that I'd ever ran 5 kilometers. Also, I was broken for days after it. I am personally more adept in the realm of resistance training programming. However, I believe some of the same principles can be applied here. One such principle is progressive overload. Simply put, this involves increasing the applied challenge over time. Our bodies are not machines, they adapt, and this will hopefully allow me to reach my 10k goal. So periodization involves breaking your training into blocks. Applying this to our month-long challenge, I broke down my weeks into an accumulation phase and a taper phase. The accumulation allowed me to build up my ability to run for longer distances more often, while the taper ensured I had the best chance of completing this challenge on game day. Using this base ideology, I then plotted in the required distances, using what I'm calling active rest days around longer distance runs. These days will hopefully allow me to recover enough to progress each week, and allow me to optimize the title for this video. I chose to put my long run on a Sunday, as this suited my work week, but you can place yours on whatever day suits you. As you can see, volume steadily increases up until the final week where the taper is applied. I'll leave a link below to a Google Sheets doc where there are pre-populated formulas so that if you put in your own goals, that you can follow the same progression that I did. Now, this plan, like any other, is no good unless it's executed. So let's get to how this plan worked in practice. This plan did help me to adhere to the consistent running schedule. I would have found it a lot harder if I didn't have prescribed running distances for each day. This took all the thought and motivation out of it and meant just ticking those boxes. This made the mental battle far easier. I yielded quite a lot of lessons from this challenge that I hope can also help you. One was that running on roads and paths was putting a lot of pressure on my joints. I have tendonitis in my knees and the high impact was causing me issues. As such, from week 2 on, I only ran on fields. Lesson 2 was in regards to the actual equipment I was using. One of the most attractive elements of running as a form of exercise is that you need minimal equipment. Running shoes and you're ready to go. I decided on impulse to start this challenge, and as such was using these old cheap runners I purchased more than a year ago. As you can see, the sole was almost entirely ground down and provided me with 2 whopper blisters for my troubles in week 1. I then purchased these Nike Reacts for 60 quid on sale, and they were amazing for the final 3 weeks when they arrived. So if you're looking at taking up running for the long haul, I would advise you look at getting a good pair of runners. Something I had to get to grips with along the way was that not every day is going to be your best day. There were some days that I really did not feel like running, due to the weather or tiredness or work, but once I started, I became focused and enjoyed the challenge. The hardest part is the first step. Once you get going, it's so much easier from there. The battle of the mind is greater than the battle of the body, as outrageous as it sounds coming from my mouth. I also had multiple days where I was unhappy with my final time, whether that be through my own fault or the conditions on that day, but I had to look to the larger goal and press on with the challenge. I struggled with keeping to a conservative pace in the beginning. This led to me becoming more fatigued earlier in my longer runs. In the end, I had learned to conserve my energy a bit more efficiently, but I think this is just something that comes with time and experience. Something I learned the hard way was that to succeed in this running challenge, you need to stretch. I had considerable DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness in week 1, and I believe this was down to the lack of stretching I used and the novel stimulus of running. I ended up doing a daily yoga challenge to adhere to a consistent stretching schedule. You can see now that I need some sort of routine to adhere to pretty much any habit. Other useful quick tips I learned were: I found it easier to run earlier in the day, so morning or lunchtime. If I allowed it to get to evening time, I would generally be very sluggish and pessimistic about my runs. As well as this, I just really didn't want to complete a run, as I was tired after work. Running earlier, I felt, also improved my energy throughout the day. Placing your runs on a day which is not jam-packed with activities or work was helpful for me, keeping your steps up. So just because you are now doing a running challenge doesn't mean you need to abandon all walking that you do. They are very different forms of exercise, and they both should be used in tandem. Familiarize yourself with your potential running routes. In order for me to reach the end of something, I need there to be a tangible goal. I need there to be a number in my head of how close I am to completion and to see progress. Using pitches of specific lengths that I knew, I could then estimate how many laps it would take. Do not neglect nutrition. If you start to run, you are likely going to need to increase calories to some extent to maintain your energy and fuel yourself. This does not mean you need to start eating dessert every night. Instead, it means you can slightly increase calories to match your new expenditure. Tracking your running is also crucial. It's all well and good to start running, but without a log of what you've completed and a goal to strive towards, you are not going to experience the same success. So finally, would I recommend running? Or in particular, would I recommend longer distance running? For me, this has to be a resounding yes, but as with a lot of other challenges like this, I think I'll use it a lot more sparingly going forward. I think the 2 runs a week could be hugely beneficial and provide you with the health and cardio benefits while also allowing you to challenge yourself in the gym. I am still way too much of a bro to ever switch to running being my primary goal. For me, getting to a point of fitness cardio-wise that I'm happy with, while also reaching a physique that allows me to feel confident, is what I will try to achieve. And I think it's probably what you should try to achieve too. I can see the appeal to running as a sport, but for me the task was quite monotonous and offers something less than things as intense as deadlifts or resistance training. I will, however, look to run a lot more going forward as a source of fitness. So if you can think of any other 30-day challenges that I could do in this channel that would interest you, then pop it into the comments below or send me a DM over on Instagram. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Like the video if you enjoyed it. If you really enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. And if you want to see more like this one, please subscribe.